So I've got this question. Which should I go for? A permanent job or a contract job? So let me break it down and give you the tea and explain the difference between the two. But to begin with, which you go for really depends on your personal circumstances and again your own personal objectives. So overall, I'll give you the pros and cons. So permanent jobs, they tend to give you training. The salaries tend to be fine depending on the industry. You get a salary, a monthly salary, and you get a bunch of perks, like whether you come to work or not, you do get paid. So you get holiday pay, sick pay, and you get an average salary and a bunch of other benefits, like maybe in some organizations, private healthcare and all of that. And if you're not performing as well as you should, they usually don't dump you like that. They would normally train you, put you through a whole process of trying to remediate the situation. So that's the thing about permanent jobs. The flip side, a contract job, they pay you a lot more money. So for the same role on a permanent basis, you might be on 50, 60K an annum. The very same role be paying you 500, 600 pounds a day as a contractor. So the thing about contracting is this: the recruitment cycle tends to be much shorter for a contractor. So you might go in an interview today and they'll hire you right on the spot and ask you to start tomorrow. The reason for that is this: with a contract role, they expect that you're a professional, you're going to hit the ground running. And so that's the reason they're paying you that much money, because they're paying you for what they believe to be skills you have. And because it's also easy to exit you if you're not performing, or if they've run out of money, or they simply don't need you anymore. As against the permanent role, where to get rid of you is going to take them a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort. So they try not to get rid of you. So the good thing about permanent, rather contract roles, is it's a lot more money. The downside of it is that it's very high risk. What that means is there's not much job security as a contractor. So you might come in, they like you, you've done a great job, but the project contract, the project budget is finished. So they can no longer pay you. So that's the end. You might come in today and tomorrow you've got no work. And again, you getting another job is really dependent on the job market, because there's certain quiet moments in the job market, which means you're going to be sat on the bench for a little bit of time. Whereas as a permanent person, even if they don't have any work for you, they sort of find a way to kind of regurgitate you or move you around. Regurgitate is not the right word, but they move you around in the system and they're not really keen to get rid of you. So in simple terms, contract, a lot more money, but maybe not much job security, in the sense that you don't get time off sick. If you're sick, you don't get paid. Think of it as pay as you go. So you work to get paid. As a contractor, if you don't turn up to work, you don't get paid. And that's why they pay you a heavy amount of day rate, like 500-600 pounds a day, because if you don't show up, you don't get paid. So if you're sick, you don't show up, no money for you. On the flip side, you don't get that much money as a permanent person, but what you do have is the security and the training. And if you do get sick or you need to take a holiday, you get paid for it. So it's those two things. You need to think about what's more important to you. Now, as a contractor, you are responsible for your own personal development. So you're going to have to spend money to train yourself, to keep on top of industry standards and all of those things. That will be on you as a contractor, because you are being paid a lot of money. But as a permanent person, you can turn around and say to your employer, "Ooh, I've not done Prince2. I'd like you to pay for me to do Prince2." They're involved, they're invested in your personal development, so they will pay for your training. Again, another thing for you to consider. Also, in terms of the recruitment cycle, for a permanent person, the recruitment cycle tends to be a bit longer. So you might have first stage, second stage, third stage, assessment, presentation for a permanent person, as against for a contract person, where they spoke to you today, they hired you on the spot, and they want you to start tomorrow. I've even heard of jobs where they hired them on the spot and say, "Can you come and help us fix the problem today?" Again, you have to kind of look at the full holistic picture to make a decision. I like to think of contracting and permanent jobs kind of like the difference between renting and buying a house from an employer's perspective. So if you were going to rent a house, you might not need to do multiple due diligence on the house. You might not need to visit the house 10 times and check if there's damp on the wall. You might just view it once, tell the landlord I like it tomorrow, pay for it, and move in the next couple of days. That's kind of like the way employers will view a contract role, a contractor. Because if you move into the house, going back to my house example, and you find that there's damp in the walls or you have crazy neighbors, you can say, "You know what, I'm done here," and you can leave. End of story. So that's why the due diligence for a contract role might not be that high, because you can get out of it easier. But with a permanent person, it's similar to how you might view, employers view a permanent person the same way you might view buying a house. So you do your due diligence. You get a lawyer to check that is actually the person who's selling the house that has the power to sell the house. You check that there's no weird neighbors. You check that it's not got damp, it's no structural problems. Because once you've bought it, you've bought it. So that's kind of why employers put people through a lot more rigor when they're going through the interview process. They want to make sure that they've done their due diligence, because they know that getting rid of you, even during probation, is not that straightforward. That's why they put in things like, yeah, we know you interviewed so well, but that's why they put in probation. Whereas as a contractor, there is no probation, because if they don't like you, or you're not performing, or they just don't think you're a fit, or something changes, they can get rid of you. So with that whole picture, you should be in a position to decide, based on your own personal circumstances, what works best for you. Some people are like, look, I don't care about personal development. I just want to make my £6,500 a day, £400 a day for the next 1 year, use the money, go and buy a farm somewhere in the village and live there happily ever after. Again, your personal circumstance. So I hope that's giving you enough of clarity. Let me hear from you what you think, and what, in your opinion, in your experience, what's different and what you would prefer. Let's hear from you. Put it in the comments, share this video, and subscribe to our channels. Let's see and hear from you, and make sure that this is adding value to you. As I always say, it's really not rocket science, you see.